Hello everyone, my name is Kane and welcome back to more Chaos Head Noah. Last time, well, everything's starting to go crazy. But we're finally here. We're finally at Noah 2. Is it time to finally save Remy and get our first ending today? I don't know. If we end up getting our first ending today, then I just might have a shorter episode today, but we'll see. Wheezing my lungs out, I ascended the deserted stairway to the top floor. I made my way through the unattended lobby into the planetarium before I took a breather at the gargantuan device that had jumped into sight. It was Noah 2, in all its majesty, surrounded by a chilly air, robbing me of my warmth. A piece of art stood beside Noah 2. Remy. Remy, affixed to the art piece, slowly raised her head at my voice. Our eyes met. Her eyes shot open. Why? Why? I'm here to save you. Her eyes began to swim. Idiot. You idiot. You're such an idiot. She shook her head sadly. I get the feeling this first ending we're gonna get's a bad one. Well, not like a bad ending, but a complete ending that has a bad conclusion. And that we're gonna have to get all the other routes in order to get the real good ending. Getting yourself hurt so badly. Pushing yourself so hard. Even though I told you to wait for me. Why? Because I've fallen in love with you. I'm in love with you, Remy. But I couldn't say that out loud. I couldn't say anything heroic like I'm here to save you because I'm in love with you. Not with how I was. Not with me covered in blood and a completely flattened arm. My current state was as far from Prince Charming as humanly possible. If I said something like that now, I'd probably look creepy as hell, put me closer to a stalker than anything, really. If I spilled my guts to her in some speech I didn't let her get a word in, it would have just put her way off. She was going to live, and I was going to die. Having some dead man walking and convey all his feelings on a whim would have left a horrible taste in her mouth. So I bottled it all in. I want to give this back. Remy. My right hand was still weak. It was the hand I'd been using to hold my D-sword. Desperately forcing my fingers to move, I reached inside my jacket pocket and pulled out a handkerchief. It was colored a gentle vermilion. Whether that was the original hue or due to my blood staining it, I don't know. Remy had given it to me, though its floral aroma had long since expired. That handkerchief was one of the several precious memories she'd given me. I'm gonna get you out of here. I'm gonna destroy Noah too. And I'm gonna give you back your handkerchief. That was all I was capable of doing. If I managed to achieve it all, I could die with no regrets. Besides, there wasn't much else I could do. In my mind, every sense of mine had gone numb a long time ago. I imagine that the reason for that was because the pain was so severe, my brain had no choice but to start blocking the sensations transmitted by whatever nerves are responsible. I could barely move. My arm continued to bleed. My vision was blurry. I was incredibly cold. I had a feeling that if I wasn't careful, I'd lose consciousness right then and there. Taku. My, you're quite the gallant one. A towering man emerged from behind Noatsu, Norose Genichi. Facing me, he clapped sarcastically with no clear expression on his face. There is, however, one fatal flaw present in your character. What caused you to act as rude and bare emotion? Something I would attribute far more to barbarism rather than anything noble. I had no idea what he was getting at. It took everything I had just to bear with the pain, so aside from Remy, I didn't have any brain power left to try and comprehend what anyone else was saying. Taku, run away!
Sacrificing the needs of the few for the needs of the many. Would you think that to be evil? I certainly would not myself. With the world on its current course, mankind will undoubtedly meet its end. By way of their own desires. Their hearts are beyond repugnant. The world is inundated by an unfathomable count of excessively self-serving desires. The society of man has long since collapsed, left now to wallow in its own decay. Each person thinks only of themselves. Crimes such as theft or murder rob all form of agency, yet this is of no concern to the individual. If you too awakened as a gigalomaniac, then you must have seen it, the true nature of the hearts of men. I have seen it for decades, having awakened myself at a very young age. In the eyes of the Committee of 300, the continued progression of the worldwide human domestication project is all for the heroic aim of halting mankind's self-destruction. Yet even that pretext exists simply to stroke their own egos. What I seek is something else. I once came to a realization. To breathe life into this diseased world, it is not the system governing society that requires changing. It is the hearts of all mankind. Thus, Project Noah came to be. Through Noah too, the hearts of all men throughout the world will be bleached clean as their negative delusions are effaced. Conflict will be no more. The world will see eternal peace. Even someone such as yourself will no longer face disdain. Finally, his novel-length monologue came to a close. My body was on the verge of collapse, but I desperately planned my feet. At least I got a bit of a break. That's the only reason I was still standing. What you're saying is probably right. I hadn't really been paying much attention. But in regards to the future of humanity, he was definitely right. His ideals were entirely righteous. He was the president of a sprawling corporation, and his eye was aimed solely on justice for the whole of mankind. Me, meanwhile, I was a monster, perversion, an otaku freak, a selfish, ego-driven wannabe who just wanted to save some girl he liked and didn't give a shit about anyone else. Normally that'd make me the bad guy through and through. The monster would then be slain and justice would prevail. I'm not gonna lose to you. Why'd you deny what is strictly in front of you? Just for my own self-satisfaction. My, how unfortunate that is. His gaze locked onto me. Narose grabbed Rimi by the collar and threw her off the art piece. His right hand then stretched out in front of it. A D-sword. A giant blade. And in that ephemeral moment, the once standing art piece found itself in Narose's hand. He was crucifying them on his own D-sword? It was no mere art piece, nor was it a cross that existed for crucifixion. A D-sword. It's different, though. Something about it seems different from the others. It was a D-sword. Look at the crystal part in the middle. What's that red? None of the other D-swords have anything similar to that, I feel. It was far too monstrous to be called a sword. Savagery. Gelatity. That which showed terror. A contaminated gospel. Chaos thoroughly complexified. A blasphemy with which to desecrate. The purest of evils. Akin to the very gates of hell themselves, the hearts of those who gazed upon it would be wrenched away, luring them into an eternal eon of strife. All that was negative in this world converged into one embodying its very shape. I gulped back all the saliva that had built up in my throat. Despite everything, I made up my mind. I fixed my grip on my D-sword, which was still bound in my hand with the cord, and then took a single step toward Noah 2. More accurately speaking, I began to close the distance between Narose and myself. Speaking of distance, he had an overwhelming advantage in range over me. I don't find myself proficient in barbarous activities, especially when it comes to crossing swords. Nevertheless, I must obtain your code scepter, and for me to meet that end, you must be incapacitated. Towering over me, with one hand, Narose swung a D-sword even bigger than he was.
coming! The strike was so heavy, it felt as if it could have pulverized any known object out there. My arm was slow to respond. Even moving it slightly made pain explode throughout it. Even still, I forced it to do so and raised my arm. I caught the blow with my D-sword. Any normal sword would have been split right in two. And that wasn't even accounting for how unbelievably thin my sword was. It couldn't have been more different from Neurose's. And yet, my D-sword didn't break. Somehow I managed to parry Neurose's first strike. My hand went numb. With my left hand pulverized, my balance on that side was non-existent. The stance I'd been holding collapsed. By the looks of it, he was about to send me flying. I just had to endure it. I connected with Neurose's second blow. His recovery between strikes was way too fast. Don't be misled by how his sword looks. That was what I told myself. It was a battle of strength, between a sword that was far too thin and delicate, and a sword that was far too colossal and ferocious. Somehow I was holding out with it, at least for the moment. 4 times now. 4 times had our blades crossed, but this time the position of Neurose's hands began to change. He looked like he was clutching the guard of the sword now. And then his sword began to writhe. Letting out an eerie noise, its malleable mechanisms groaned. This blade's edge then split in two, opening into a pair of scissors that was then thrust towards my very chest. That alteration. Right then I came to realize it would mean the end of me. I countered, swinging my sword down in front of me. But I was too late. Its forked points sank right straight into my chest. A callous smile formed on Neurose's lips. He loosened his grasp on the guard, and the colossal scissors snapped shut. My chest, my ribs, and my lungs were all devoured. I desperately stumbled back. And right when I did that, Neurose swept his arm straight across. My own fresh blood danced before my eyes. Pain spiked throughout my entire body. Even though my senses were supposed to have been numbed, I was on the verge of screaming out with whatever remained of my lungs. But even so, I clenched my teeth and endured it. My chest had been thoroughly minced. If not for stepping back when I did, he would have hit my heart. Massive quantities of blood continued to spray out. I nearly toppled over, but I caught myself at the last second. I can't die here. I didn't come this far just to die. I ignored Neurose. Instead of him, I approached Noa2 and Rimi, the latter of which was collapsed on the ground. It took every fiber of my being, but I did it all the same.
Haku.
Raising her head from the ground, Rimi looked in my direction. She was likely exhausted. There's no way her body had any strength left. As fatigue, or maybe just my injuries, continued to wear me down, my vision grew blurrier. I wasn't sure what sort of face Rimi was making as she looked at me. I didn't meet her gaze. I couldn't bear for her to see me like this, bloody and beaten to a pulp. That was the sole minuscule bit of pride I had left. Even on my deathbed, that was where I drew the line. I advanced toward Noa2. My D-sword was already within range. Oddly enough, Neurose stayed behind me, ignoring that I was leaving him behind. All of a sudden, a cheery melody began to ring throughout the dome. You may pass. The damn cell phone thing. Noa2 towered over me. The sound emanating from it became even more shrill. Deep within all its majesty, I sensed something incredibly strange and enigmatic moving around. For a split second, I flinched. Albeit slowly, I managed to take a stance with the blade at my hip. I aimed toward Noa2's nearly organic-looking, tube-covered exterior, and bulldozed it with my D-sword. That was when I noticed. At some point or another, Noa2 had vanished from my sight, and now somehow I was standing with my back to it. I knew for a fact that I'd just been trying to destroy it. There wasn't a single damn reason for me to have turned around, and yet that was the direction I was facing. In the very center of my blurred vision, Neurose was the one standing there, not Noa2. I turned around, swinging my D-sword at it for the second time. Except even though I'd fully intended to turn around, I hadn't. I had the will to turn myself around, and I'd even made the motion to do so, and yet this end result was one where I hadn't actually turned around. I was hit with a wave of our confusion.
One might call it Noah 2's self-defense system.
Rose's quiet voice resounded from within the dome, pulling and mixing together with the melody of You May Pass.
It interferes with the hearts of those who approach it, distorting their wills. With the exception of myself, none may approach Noah 2.
When he finished speaking, he leisurely walked closer to me. Then, as if it was the easiest thing in the world, he raised his colossal D-sword above his head. I clenched my teeth. I'd lost a lot of blood. I couldn't think clearly. Even though I didn't have the slightest bit of sensation in my right hand, I shoved the pain and the fact I couldn't move it properly aside, and lifted it up in a desperate attempt to deflect the next blow. And then the D-sword that had somehow still remained attached to my hand with the cord was sent flying by a staggering impact. It tumbled across the floor, far, far away from me. It was astonishing seeing it off. Fixing my gaze back in front of me, I was met with Narose's sneering figure. And then, as if in warning, as if to urge my mind forward, the melody changed.
Allow me to deny your existence.
Narose's stance told me he was already prepared to strike again. He was about to bring the sword crushing down on me. It was all too overwhelming. All too devastating. All too brutal. That was his D-sword. And it was coming down on me while I was completely unarmed. I had no way of stopping his strike. I was a sitting duck. Rimi forced her way between Narose and me. Her soft touch enveloped my face.
Don't kill Taku.
I felt Rimi's chest. She wrapped her arms around me, almost like a tender embrace. She was protecting me from Narose. Narose sighed quietly, lowering his sword. Rimi had saved me once again, even though I told her I was here to save her. How fucking pathetic was that? Hit with a wave of intense frustration, I slithered my right hand into her body, and thrust it inside her blouse.
Taku?
I felt the sensation of the... Whoa, whoa! Whoa! Struggled to breathe. The warmth I felt now surely could heal... No, no! Okay! I'm just going to keep that, yeah. Takumi, please stop. Please stop. Please stop. I refuse to say everything that's happening right now. Okay, I'm... The gas I got off her. When I realized what I've been trying to do, I was genuinely shocked. Even though I'd gone off her, Rimi tightly clutched her chest and continued to sob sadly. She'd been protecting me. Why had I done that? Why the hell had I done that? Especially at a time like this. Why was I the one making Rimi cry? Okay. My own voice echoed within my mind. Shocked, I swallowed back my saliva. It was so shocking to me. The fact that he was right? Because he'd seen through me? But who was he to begin with? Was my own voice? Nope. Nope. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Not comfy anymore. No. Nuh-uh. Please stop. Couldn't cover my ears even if I wanted to, considering my lack of a left hand. Mimi was just lying there sobbing, unable to fix her messy clothes. Just seeing her face like that shattered my heart. Please stop. Stop. No. I'm keeping the screen blinded because I do not like this. No. I'm sorry, but I can't. It was just a delusion. Something of a bad habit. Things could take a turn for the worse if I didn't stop listening. My weak-minded nature was luring me to the path of least resistance toward a really bad path. But I couldn't let it drag me away. Not now. No. Stop it. Stop saying these things. No way in hell. I scream. To shower my weak mind. To blow it straight to hell. Luckily, it seemed to have worked. Rimi had even stopped crying. She lowered the hands covering her face and then glared at me with ice-cold eyes. Such a bore. Those few words were all it took for my mind to be swallowed by a cascade of dark emotions. And as I swung myself at Rimi, with staggering force, an enormous stake burst straight up from the concrete floor. The sharp edge of the stake. I couldn't comprehend what was going on. My legs were floating in the air. Even if I wanted to run away, I couldn't. The stake gradually tore its way farther and farther into my body. It was excruciatingly painful, but not enough to kill me. The stake continued to grow, lifting me a whole meter into the air. Any form of movement sent a jolt of pain through me. I was completely unable to move. Someone save me. I cast my pleading eyes down toward Rimi, but without even looking at me, she walked straight to Norose's side. Then, as if exhausted of all strength, she crouched to the ground. Both Norose and Rimi simply stared at me, at the mortifying display. Neither of them had any form of expression as they watched. Neither of them had any interest in saving me. I'm curious as to if you are aware of this. Impalement was once a common form of torturous punishment all throughout the world. A particular characteristic of this torture is that death can take up to 3 days to arrive once it begins. Your own weight will gradually allow the stake to sink deeper into your body. To meet this end, it is essential to make use of a stake that isn't overly sharp, thereby reducing injury to your internal organs and lengthening the period until your death. Ultimately, the execution is brought to an end once the stakes pierce through your mouth or shoulder. I'll be supervising this with bated breath for all 3 days, until the moment you perish. It seems she feels the same. Rimi nodded in response to his words. Although it seemed far more likely for you to die of blood loss given the wounds adorning your arms and chest. It's a delusion. A delusional attack. That was what I told myself. In reality, I really wasn't impaled. I was still standing in front of Noah too. I was only hallucinating. I believe that to be true. I had to believe it. 3 days. 72 hours. 4,320 minutes. 259,200 seconds. If I can endure it for that long, the delusion will end. It has to. If I just sleep for a bit, I'll pass out. It'll go by quicker. Those were my thoughts. But I couldn't do either of those things. The pain wouldn't let me. And that was exactly what made this such pure, unrelenting torture. I was gonna go insane if this went on. Even though only a moment ago I'd been thinking about trying to endure it, I'd spiraled straight into despair. Considering the extreme amount of time left before my death, Despair was the sole emotion that hadn't drained directly out of me. Just kill me already. How much time had passed? I didn't see a clock, so I had no clue. I wanted to see a clock, but I knew that if I did see one, the hand sluggishly ticking by would probably shatter my spirit completely. I clenched my teeth. Sweat was oozing off my body in droves. Thanks to that, my throat had gone dry. I moistened it by swallowing the blood that was trickling in. Inside my body, I could feel the stake continuously shoving aside my internal organs as it wedged itself even deeper into me. I could feel it very clearly, like a countdown to my inevitable death. Soon enough, it arrived at my immense chest, and after that, it pierced through my throat. It skewered me straight through the mouth. The pain and shock was pushing my sanity to its limits. The pain kept me in a 5-minute cycle of passing out, waking up, then passing back out again. I came to understand something. Every time I fainted, my body would go limp, and the stake dug into me even faster. Naturally, the pain grew to uncomparable levels when that happened. Then it would wake me back up. Unable to move, my body would writhe in torment. And then I'd pass out again to escape the pain. And the gruesome cycle would repeat itself. Even when I was conscious, I was entirely in a daze. It seemed the pain had somehow faded a little, too. My vision had gone dim. Was it nighttime? Not that it mattered, considering the lack of windows in the dome. I suppose it was because of how much blood I'd lost. Blood trickled from my chest and arms, albeit not a whole lot. If I kept dripping out, maybe I could die peacefully from that instead of being impaled. Realizing that, I attempted to swing around my left arm, hardly any of which remained below the elbow. It didn't even twitch. No doubt my nerves were already dead. Was it really a delusion? When was it going to end? Would it ever actually end? What had made me believe it was a delusion to begin with? How could I know it was a delusion? What if it was all reality? If I endured it, I'd just die anyway. Enduring it didn't mean shit. But I was enduring it anyway? That was stupid. Only a dumbass would do that. I was an idiot. Die. Not the haha KYS kind. No. Actually fucking die. I should die right now. I was sick of all the pain. I was sick of all the suffering. Bite your tongue off. Do that and you'll be at peace soon after. Just let me out of here. This is all a delusion, right? Die. Die, 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 die. It hurts. Die, die, die. My chest continued to hemorrhage. I couldn't breathe. No matter how much oxygen I tried to suck in, my throat would only make a stupid wheezing sound. I looked down, only to be met with the stake peeking through the holes in my chest. Struggling for oxygen as my mouth flapped open and shut, I violently vomited out blood. The fact I was about to die brought me peace of mind.
Any moment now, I believe.
It was Neurose's voice. The bastard was right in front of me, but I couldn't see him. In fact, I couldn't see a thing. Being impaled had left me in such agony for so long that I completely forgotten about both him and Remy. I couldn't help but wonder if Remy was still close by. Though it didn't really matter. I was too occupied with trying to breathe. For a good while now, I've been dedicating every nerve and every last ounce of that strength toward doing just that.
Before you safely pass on to the next word, allow me to dispose of the girl.
Wasn't exactly sure what he was talking about. Nor did I have the chance to think about it.
私を You're going to kill me?
殺すの Indeed, that is what I plan. Do you have any last words?
I'm sorry, Taku. I couldn't
タクのこと
save you.
助
I heard Rimi's final scream. Then the sound of someone toppling over. I imagined that Rimi had just been shot and killed. I didn't feel a single pang of emotion. Something else took priority. I returned to working on breathing. And then I felt shock at how I'd done that. What was the meaning in any of this? Why did I struggle so hard to keep on breathing? Wasn't it just too much? Something hot streamed down my cheeks. I was probably crying, but there wasn't any way to be sure of that. I tried my best to endure everything I had dealt with so far, but so close to the 3-day limit, the meaning of doing so had been entirely lost. I'm sorry, Rimi. I should be the one to apologize. I couldn't protect you. There wasn't any point in living anymore. I let my body go limp. The weight of that caused my body to sink even deeper. I felt a foreign object working its way up my throat. Breathing became impossible. Something was driving itself up through me. I came back to my senses. The feeling of a foreign object in my throat disappeared. I wasn't impaled anymore. The only blood on me was from my left arm and chest. When did reality end and delusion begin? My brain couldn't begin to process it fast enough. I didn't understand a thing about the situation. In front of me was Narose, D-sword raised.
Back so soon? The 3 days you just experienced were in fact but a single second in reality.
やっぱり
So it was just a delusion. After muttering that to myself in relief, Narose's D-sword flashed as fast as lightning. My body's top and bottom halves began to fall out of alignment. My vision fell. I sank downward, even though my legs were still standing right there. Everything above my waist toppled to the floor. My torso had been cleaned clean off. The cross-section was all too beautiful to behold.
Huh.
I unexpectedly fixed my gaze on my lower half. It was a reality I didn't want to accept. Or was it just another delusion? If it was, that would have been nice. Please be a delusion.
Taku!
Mimi was calling me, in a voice that seemed so sad. She was calling me.
Even in that state, it will be a number of minutes before your death. As a former doctor, you have my word on that. In the meantime, allow me to extract your code sample.
I crawled. Dragging my body away with my right hand alone, I headed straight for Rimi's voice. I wanted to feel you there, Rimi. I have to save you. Rimi. I dragged myself forward with my right hand. Then again. I reached out. But I had no idea where Rimi was. I didn't reach her. I didn't reach anything at all.
Such an obstinate young man.
Crunch. I felt my bones grind into dust. Narose's dress shoe trampled my outstretched right hand.
Or perhaps monster would be a far more apt title.
Narose's legs waver like a mirage in the desert. The tile pattern on the floor begins to blur and distort. Bottom becomes top and top becomes bottom. The floor becomes the ceiling and the ceiling becomes the floor. I find myself crawling on my stomach. A staggering amount of blood gushes out from my severed waistline. Like a water faucet put on full blast. The blood is draining out of my body. And then, just like that, my organs cascade out of the opening in my arm. My consciousness urges far, far away. But I don't lose it completely. Blood starts to pool around me. My body is lying in a sea of crimson. Thump, thump. As my heart beats, it rolls onto the floor in front of me, forming ripples in the bloody puddle. I watch the ripples in a daze. My shape collapses. I'm unable to maintain my shape as a person. The boundary between myself and the world vanishes. My flesh melts. My bones warp like rubber. My eyeballs become square-shaped. My inside-out lungs tumble out of my mouth. My nerves are stretched out for tens of thousands of kilometers. One by one, the wrinkles of my brain slowly smooth themselves out. My body becomes a flabby blob. I dissolve into the air. My right hand stretches as if it were made of thread. It leaves the planetarium. And like a parade float, it wanders about the Shibuya sky, rolls around Cornelius Tower, wraps around it, again and again, again and again, again and again. My knot together legs swell up, glub glub, like a water balloon. Bulging out, my skin grows. It makes rubbery sounds. I'm turning into liquid. Even my flesh, even my bones. They melt and clog up my calves. Then a little head springs out of my hip. It looks at me with white googly eyes. And then my head gets smashed to pieces. I don't know which head exactly. It's all smashed and pulpy though. The building's concrete floor. I slip between the cracks in its molecules, falling to the ground. Whoosh. I splat on the ground. Goopy brain puddle. Squirmy squirm, gushy gush, slurpy slurp, sticky stick, jiggly jiggle, bouncy bounce, splashy splash, gloopy gloop, splatty plat splat. I become two. Two becomes four. Four becomes eight. Eight becomes four. Two becomes eight. Four becomes four. Slowly multiply. Slowly divide. There are lots of me. There is none of me. What is me? What am I? I am what? Me? What? What's me? Ma? You're more than just a delusion. You... Look closely. Nishijo Nanami prays. In a hospital, admitted alongside her brother, curled up in the corner of a waiting room, brimming with injured souls. clutching a real brother's wrinkled hand. Enduring the pain in her right hand, she closes her eyes and prays for the safety of her other brother. Kusunoki Yua prays by the rubble of a collapsed building in a container that lay buried by it all, clutching one of his anime girl figures. Enduring the pain in her chest from seeing his figures desecrated by the earthquake and ensuing fires, she closes her eyes and prays for the safety of the boy who forgave her. Kishimoto Ayase prays at Suime Academy, now an evacuation shelter, looking to the sky from the rooftop, clutching her paperback book of legends. Enduring the malicious pain of the innumerable delusions concealing the collapsed Shibuya, she closes her eyes and prays for the safety of the boy who listened to her song and her story. Orihara Kazue prays at Shinsen Station on a dimly lit platform, clutching Aoi Sena's trembling hand. Enduring the pain of her injured leg, she closes her eyes and prays for the safety of the boy, her classmate, whom she spoke with in her inner voice. Aoi Sena prays, sitting beside her father on the ground, clutching her father's cold hand, enduring the pain of regret, having not been honest to the very end. She closes her eyes and prays for the safety of the boy who tried to grant her wish, no matter how clumsily. Sakihata Rimi prays, lying on the cold floor, tightly clutching her own hands extended toward him, enduring the tightening in her chest from when she saw him covered in wounds. She closes her eyes and prays for the safety of the boy whom she swore to protect, yet instead came to save her. Prayers. I was unable to do anything. It was you who acted. As a result, everyone has had their eyes on you. Mutual recognition of you has long since been established. From this point forward. No, already. You are. I am. Who are you? I am. The moment I heard that voice, my consciousness stabilized me. The once swirling world converged all at once. My D-sword took shape as a converging chaos. I returned to my shape as myself. The world returned to its shape as the world. I am me! I could see clearly now. All my wounds had healed. My top and bottom halves were connected. I was standing on my own 2 feet. The pain was entirely gone. Serenity filled my heart. I did well to overcome the delusions. I entrust you with the last of my power. I noticed Rimi at the edge of my vision. She was okay. She was looking at me. Tears were falling down her face. Don't cry. Summoning my strength, I grasped the D-sword's hilt. I ascertained its feelings. My arms were barer than ever. I completely regenerated.
This is quite fascinating. You damn monstrosity!
I focused my eyes on Narose. Sure, I'm a monster. But this is... so I can rescue Rimi. So I can destroy Noah too.
Delusion I wished for.
Norose's response was swift. He had yet to harvest the code sample of Nishijo Takumi. The delusion was supposed to have cornered the boy and shattered his psyche, but now the tables had turned. And that he could not allow. Norose closed the gap between himself and Takumi. Taking a specific angle, he swung his D-sword from below. With a D-sword that could cleave any known object, he diagonally carved through Takumi's chest. The target's durability made no difference. Killing a person with it was as simple as slicing through a block of gelatin. With one quick swipe from Norose, Takumi's body was split into pieces. His head, right arm, and right shoulder all slid cleanly off his body. Internal organs littered the floor, but not a single drop of blood fell with them. The lower half of Takumi's body began to give away. He braced himself and managed to plant his feet. In the moment following, the cross-section of his wound began to undulate and squirm. Live. A bubbling noise ensued, and then he regenerated. Even though his body had already been cleaved apart a mere second ago, already a new head, right arm, and shoulder had been born. His whole old head and internal organs remained where they had slid free from him. I already blocked off my sense of pain. With a single step, Takumi approached Norose. Norose clicked his tongue and then turned over his D-sword.
By virtue of casting aside your bodily form, any form on whatsoever is within your means, I take it.
You can thank the delusion you showed me for that. He was unable to retain his shape as a human being. He had taken in the delusion and made it his own. This was not regeneration, but replacement. Missing parts replenished, flesh and bone were produced once again, all propagating infinitely from the dust within his body. His shape was not fixed. Like an amoeba, like a collection of slime, he could change himself freely. That was the reason Takumi called himself a monster. Takumi took yet another step towards Norose. Norose's frustration increased. Gripping the hilt, he thrust his D-sword at the approaching Takumi. Takumi's head found itself between the colossal pair of scissors.
No. Without the brain, you can't have any more delusions now, can you?
Really? Takumi's head was crushed, split up like a watermelon. Blood and gray matter burst forth. Everything above the neck was gone, and yet Takumi's body remained. Regeneration, replacement was instantaneous. As soon as his heel hit the ground, as if nothing had happened, as if he had been entirely replaced, his head returned right to where it had been, without a single scratch. Norose awakened to an understanding. He could not win this fight. Physical attacks with his D-sword were useless. The delusional attack denying the boy's reason for existence had been taken in and used for an alternate purpose. The current Nishijo Takumi was all too removed from human normalcy, all too distorted of an existence, all too fitting as a monster. And yet despite it all, Norose had no intention of conceding. His next thought was to utilize Noatu's power to bombard Takumi with innumerable antiparticles. Bombarded with antiparticles could transform any known existence into negative matter, ultimately ending in self-collapse. If disruption from the surface was not viable, then collapse must be taken from within. You're on the right track. Norose's thoughts had been read by Takumi.
What?
The shine of Takumi's D-sword transformed from red to black. A black flame enveloped the blade. It wriggled forth, extending outward. Its shape resembled that of a dark, colossal serpent.
And then it shall appear.
Gladiole. They roamed throughout the dome as if constrained by it. Toward the ceiling, toward the floor, as though it was licking them up, as though it was scraping them away. It simply consumed.
A dark colossal serpent of wicked hearts. A being capable of devouring all corrosion, sharing the wicked-hearted king's body itself, instilling heterogeneity in his homogeneity.
The body of the colossal serpent was composed of antiparticles. With a mere touch, it could send any known object into self-collapse. a torrent of destruction composed of near infinite greed.
Can't say I'm all that fond of tentacle porn, though.
There and then, Takumi's D-sword swung, its pointed tip fixed on Narose. Go. The dark serpent, winding itself in a coil, curved its body like a whip. Its jaws snapped at Narose.
Such power! It can't be!
Not once had Narose even ever seen such a phenomenon from a D-sword. He could not discern whether it was the hidden power of all gigglomaniacs or merely Takumi's delusion. The dark veins eroded Narose's body, and he began to collapse. All too slowly, like a frog slowly dissolving in the belly of a snake. Darkness swallowed him. He felt no pain. By nature, his death should have been instant. But that was not what Takumi wished for. Realizing this, Narose's lips twisted into a derisive smile. Narose had no fear of death. One could say that the ideals he pursued had been accomplished with the completion of Noah 2.
Even if you kill me, no other human can approach Noah 2. A perpetual motion machine. That is what you are dealing with. Its administration of humanity will last until the end of time. It does not merely sit idle and watch from afar. Rather, it is a man-made god, which interferes for the sake of mankind's happiness.
Narose was God's inventor, so to speak. As long as Noah 2 continued to exist, mankind would not perish, and the eternal utopia Narose sought would become real. However, but you can approach it, can't you?
What?
The serpent body wriggled and writhed with Narose in its grasp, lifting his body into the air. If that's the case, then you're the key. Narose was astonished, but soon enough, his face changed into an expression of pure agony. The serpent swung about his body with ease. Takumi shot a glance at Rimi. Their eyes met. Just what was Rimi feeling as she watched him? Reading her mind would have been effortless, and yet Takumi did nothing of the sort. Seems I was able to save you after all. He quickly averted his eyes. His gaze then shifted to the still humming Noah 2, throne of God, which none could stand foot, a cradle which showed naught but dreams of bliss. I'm sorry. You apologize to no one in particular. I very well might be an enemy of humanity. The eternal utopia this device would have brought. A future without conflict. Takumi would extinguish them with his own two hands. Was that right? Or was it wrong? Takumi could not give an answer to that. But it's pretty common in mythology. Even gods tend to slack off when women are involved. That's why I, too, will sacrifice the happiness of mankind out of love for a girl. Takumi, D-sword in hand, bent his arms in a giant arc. Right through! He thrust it forth, just like a javelin. The colossal serpent of darkness charged straight ahead. The bay-nosed Narose, impaled by its tip, it flew straight toward Noah 2. An enormous serpent of antiparticles, capable of terminating any known object. It had no will of its own, thus it was not something that could have been warped nor distorted. With the greedy impulse to destroy, using Narose as the key, the delusional barrier was easily smashed to pieces. Farewell. It's broken. Narose's D-sword's gone. I know this scene. When had the rain begun to fall? There had just been a huge explosion, and its blast blew my body away like it was nothing more than a rag doll. The next thing I knew, I found myself lying here. Those eyes were always watching me. The stare pierced through the thick, pitch-black rain clouds and poured down on me like rain. Don't look at me. My body couldn't stop shivering, not from the chill of the rain, but rather the ice-cold rubble against my back. So terribly cold. A gaze pierced me from the heavens. Who it belonged to I couldn't say. As if to escape it, I raised my head to look at the environment around me. There I saw a ruined city. There I saw despair. There I saw death. Nothingness. Not a soul was there. Not a soul was moving, left alive. The only thing I could hear was the sound of the rain continuing to pour. At this rate, everything, both living and dead, would it all be gently embraced and washed away? How nice it would be if that was all a delusion, but it didn't seem to be the case. I couldn't move my body. Only my eyes and neck, and even then just barely. Couldn't use that monstrous power. Body was shivering, but it was nothing more than a physiological phenomenon. It wasn't happening by my own will. I didn't want to tremble. If I couldn't move it freely, then it wasn't my body. Or maybe I've never had free will ever since I was born. Nobody knows exactly where the soul resides. Bearing that in mind, how could anyone say that there was a soul inside this body of mine? But then where exactly was I now? Was I really here? Was I anywhere at all? In the shattered world where all stood still, well, another sound echoed through it. A solitary existence began to emerge from the sea of nothingness. Who are you? Is your skin so pale? Because it had been numbed by the chill of the rain? Or because you were already dead? And yet the girl wasn't shivering. And those eyes of hers, nearly hidden behind her bangs. Don't look at me. They looked so terribly sad. They looked as if they held a hint of madness, as if they reflected nothing. If she and I were the only ones left in the world, if we stared into each other's eyes like this for all eternity, would my world be reduced to the reflection in her eyes? Would her world be reduced to the reflection in my eyes? The only thing reflected was me and her. When I thought of it that way, the world immediately seemed so much smaller. Hey! Suddenly a flash of static reached my ears, one endlessly beautiful yet deeply discordant. She lowered her head and spread her arms wide, almost as if preparing to take off, to soar high above the rain clouds, or as if trying to catch all the falling rain.
All that's watching you is a delusion.
From where I was on the ground, I couldn't see the expression on that lowered head of hers. Behind the thin veil of rain, just what kind of face were you making?
I'll put you to rest now.
An angel? Were those dancing feathers of light blessing me? Or... I see. I understand. She's gonna use that to kill me. The girl slowly kneeled to the ground before my collapsed body. With her head still lowered, she gently took my own in her hands. I surrendered my body to her grasp, relieved that she wasn't looking at me.
I'll put you to rest now.
In my ear, I hear a whisper, garbled by static. It was just beautiful.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
There's nothing to apologize for. If I don't disappear, the other me, the real me, will die. So that's why I'm okay with this. In fact, I'm really glad I get to be erased. It's not a bad end for a monster like me. A warm, soft, gentle, sweet sensation. And miraculously, as if it were the anesthetic, the shivering in my body began to die. The air smelled sweet. Suddenly I sensed something pressing against my chest. The large sword she held tore through my skin. Slowly sank to the center, But gifted with the anesthesia of her kiss, I felt no pain. Never thought I'd get such a kind death. Trying to hide them, I looked past the girl's head and up toward the ashen sky. Wow. Just, wow. Huh. I don't really know what to say. I can't even really explain how... I don't know. I can't really explain it. It was fantastic. An experience like no other. But if you were to ask me what I thought of it, I wouldn't be able to tell you anything. I can't tell you anything. Because I don't know how to describe it. Something so beautiful yet so grotesque at the same time, I feel. Wow. I feel like I was in a trance for that entire hour. I'm looking at how long the recording's been going for. It's been an hour. I feel like I was in a trance that entire time. That was weird. Ugh. I have to, like, shake my... Ugh. Slap my face. Okay. Getting some life back in me now. Whew. Okay. Feeling better now. Wow. That was something different. And yet, at the same time, it was a magical experience. It was something beautiful. And we're not done with this game, though, yet. We're still going to try and get the other endings. I just think, definitely gonna need to put a pause on it for today's episode after the credits. We'll check a little bit, see, like, if the settings have changed. This is not the Nintendo Switch, but whatever. Yeah, but seriously, though, I feel like I was going... I don't even... It feels like 10 minutes have passed by, and yet an hour has. Oh, that was weird. Again, once... I feel like my sense of time is completely screwed up after the whole part where Takumi starts going insane because of the pain and torn apart by the stake. I feel like once that starts, I wasn't even myself at the moment. Ugh. I need to hit myself some more. Ugh. Get some feeling back into me. Ugh. I need a drink of water is what I need. Give me this. Ah, much better. Whew. I'm good now. Okay. But yeah, I can't exactly explain how that was, because there are no words I could properly use to describe it, I feel. It was an experience, is all I can say. A beautiful, yet at the same time grotesque experience. Making something magical, I feel. Ending A. Reached a Silent Sky ending. Extras and CG library are now available. Sound library, movie library, shortcut. Continue shortcut has been unlocked. What does shortcut continue mean? Shortcut. Oh, we can jump to any chapter now. That's cool. I like that. Thank you, game. I see, and we get 1 of 9 endings unlocked. Yeah. So now that we've beaten the game once, the game has now become open in terms of its other endings. Now, I'm going to go ahead and mention this. I'll probably mention this again, like the start of next episode, but I'm going to go ahead and say it here once. Regarding how we're going to do the other endings, I'm going to follow this guide I have. The guide I have is from the same, I mentioned before I'm playing on some sort of like community patch right now, and the community patch has a guide for the recommended endings that you should go through, like the order in which you go through the other endings. And the order it has here is ending A, which is the one we just went through, ending B, which is its own unique route that we have to do something special for, And then the roots go Nanami, Yua, Ayase, Kozue, Sena, Rimi, and then Blue Sky, which is apparently ending AA. So that's the order in which we're going to do the other endings. But again, after being put into that trance, I feel like I need to take a break. I feel like I just got hypnotized and... Ugh. I can weirdly remember everything from it, but it really felt like I was just... Ugh, that was weird. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoy and hope to see you all later. Peace.